Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge, Denton Day, along in 30 minutes, talking national college football storylines. Look forward to that discussion. Try to get away from LSU a little bit, but we're going to talk Tigers in 15 minutes as they got some work to do shuffling the offensive line. Brian Kelly had some news about that today, so we'll talk about it in 15 minutes. But let's talk SEC football, what we saw over the weekend. I have great news for those of you who listen to our shows on Fridays. Great news. You can make a lot of money. All you have to do is listen to my selections against the spread every Friday at 1:30. No, what time do I do it? 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock every Friday, and bet the other one, because I am atrocious at picking games against the spread. 2-5 this week. I had South Carolina catching 5.5. They got beat by 1,000. I had Texas A&M covering 7.5. They did not cover. Couldn't stop Taylor Green. I had Georgia laying 7.5. That one did hit. They won by 8. So I finally was on the correct side of a half point. I had Sunbelt Billy and the Florida Gators minus 9.5. That did not hit. I had the Texas Longhorns covering against Kentucky. They had win by 13.5. They went to overtime. Did not, so that didn't hit. I had Tennessee plus 7.5. That did not hit. And I did have Missouri minus 1.5, and they did win in overtime on the Plains. So a 2-5 week for me. That brings the season-long total for my wagering to 26-40 on 50-50 propositions.
Oh, my Lord.
26-40.
That's spooky, man.
How would Jimmy like that?
Jimmy will stop calling you. He will stop calling you.
All right, so let's talk about what actually happened on the field as opposed to just looking at my poor wagers. Let's start with Florida because they fired their coach after they won a game. That was just a weird scene there in Gainesville. You've got the entire stadium chanting "Fire Billy, Fire Billy" while they're trying to win a game against Mississippi State. And then Napier's running off the field after a win, and he's getting screamed at by these moron Florida fans that have stuck around the team tunnel to yell at him. And then he goes to the podium after the game, and you could tell he knew that it was over. He'd obviously been told that it was over because he got questions about it and gave answers that he never said, yeah, we got to get that fixed or we're moving in the right. He just said, I think about the players. I think about going to work. I think he knew it was over. And for Mississippi State, that's a tough one to lose. You've got the ball late. You're got a chance to go kick a field goal to win the game. You're on the fringes of field goal range. I did not hate Jeff Levy deciding to throw the ball to try to get closer. You were not in a spot where you had a chip shot field goal. So to me, trying to get closer is good. You've got a senior quarterback that you've got to be able to trust. He's thrown for 320 yards in the game. Like, you've got to trust that he can get you there. And he throws an interception. Like, he just made a bad throw to an alignment, intercepted it. And when you're a bad team, and Mississippi State's a bad team, you find ways to lose game. I didn't think that Jeff Levy made some sort of awful decision to throw the ball there. I think trying to get closer than a 47-yard field goal makes sense to me, but Florida made the plays to get it done. The next game that actually comes up to me is not even Ole Miss and Georgia or Tennessee, Alabama, which I will get to in a second. Texas is so bad on offense, y'all. They're so bad. They did enough to beat Oklahoma 2 weeks ago when Oklahoma had a banged-up quarterback. But, you look at Arch Manning against Kentucky, 12 for 27 for 132 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. 12 out of 27. That's just brutal. And Texas scored 13 points in regulation of this game. How'd they run the ball against Kentucky? Well, they ran it 28 times for 47 yards. And that's not even a bunch of sack adjustment. Like, March Manning had -1 on the day. Wasn't like they lost like 35 yards on sacks. 28 carries for 47 yards. Just brutal for Texas to go up there. They get the win, but like, they're bad on offense. I watched that game, a lot of it on Saturday night. That was just brutal to watch. Now, let's go to the games that feature the top 15 teams. Georgia was impressive offensively. They hung 43 points on Ole Miss. I knew that they would try to run the ball a lot. That's why I picked them to cover. They did run the ball a lot. They ran for 221 yards and a touchdown. But Gunnar Stockton was really the story. He throws for 289. He ran for 59 more. He took off for a 22-yard touchdown that was really impressive to watch his athleticism there. Like, he was a guy that we looked at in August and thought, is he capable of taking Georgia where they're trying to go? That was impressive. Ole Miss's defense is not as good as it was last year, but Stockton just consistently hung points on them drive after drive after drive. That was impressive. For Ole Miss, like, they're good. Like, they got a good team. Going to Athens and hanging with Georgia the way that they did and having a 9-point lead the way that they did in the third quarter, like, you had to feel pretty good about that. And then Georgia closes with a 17-0 fourth quarter. But look, Ole Miss got pretty good effort from Trinidad Chambliss. They scored 35 points. They kind of went up and down the field. They hit the big play in the first drive of the third quarter. Like, Ole Miss is good, and it'll be interesting to see if Lane Kiffin hangs there or if he looks at one of these open jobs. I'm not 100% sure you can't win at Ole Miss. The teams he has put on the field the last 2 years have been pretty damn good. Last year's was super talented. I cannot explain this Kentucky loss. And the Kentucky loss essentially cost them a chance at the playoffs. But Georgia, while they're not the, machine they were 3 and 4 years ago, they are really good, and that environment was great on Saturday. And Ole Miss just went straight blow for blow with them. Like, just went blow for blow with them. And they came up one drive short, but like that's impressive to me that Ole Miss is capable of doing that. And they just came up a little bit short. As far as Alabama and Tennessee goes, I thought Alabama controlled the game. I thought the pick six right before the half is the play that changes everything. But in just watching the flow of it, I thought that Alabama dictated the terms to Tennessee. It was just a terrible throw by Aguilar to throw that pick six right before the end of the half, and that's just a complete backbreaker. It's a 14-point swing. 14 points is a lot to overcome, especially on the road. They lose by 17. Thought Simpson was in control, did not throw an interception. Wasn't his gaudiest passing day, but he throws for 253 and 2 touchdowns. He's got some real weapons on the outside. Bernard and Hill and Williams are just really, really good. And then Cuevas gets involved as well at tight end, and he's a good piece for them. Tennessee, to me, is bumping its head on the ceiling with Heupel right now. Like, you just don't feel like you're at the top of the sport. They're certainly better than they have been. And it's interesting because they went through that literally like 15 years of purgatory, right? 15 years. And they've gotten out of that. They're better than that. They're better than the Butch Jones teams. They're better than the Dooley teams. They're better than the 15 years post Fulmer. But they're not beating Georgia. They can't go to Tuscaloosa and win. They haven't won there in 20 years. And they went to Ohio State last year in the playoff and just got punked. So for Tennessee, it's got to be frustrating that they've certainly shown some improvements. And I'm not at all suggesting they need to move on from Heupel, but they're not winning the big games. And that's the next step for them. And did not come back on Saturday. Texas A&M goes up to Fayetteville. They absolutely cannot get a stop, but they didn't need it. They just kept scoring. And Marcel Reed, I think, deserves some candidacy for the Heisman Trophy. He threw for 280 and 3 touchdowns and also ran for 55 and a score. That's a terrible Arkansas defense, really, really bad defense, but that's a good Texas A&M offense. And when they're cooking, they're really, really good. And even without Le'Veon Moss, who I don't think is going to play this week either. Obviously, they got Reuben Owens, and he's good. Had 2 rushing touchdowns in the game, and then they get Concepcion and Craver involved, and those guys are really athletic. And it's just a complete Texas A&M team. I'm terrified of Texas A&M right now. And yeah, giving up 42 points to Arkansas is not good, but they scored 45. So they did this in South Bend, scored enough to win. They did it in Fayetteville, scored enough to win. They won an ugly game against Auburn. It's just they're good in a league that's got a lot of parity across the first 14 teams. A&M's as good as anybody, I think. South Carolina is not. They scored 7 points. Shane Beamer was really frustrated. They are so hurt on the offensive line. I think they've lost 5 different offensive linemen, including some backups there. So they just got no chance to block and score. They lose 26-7. And then Hugh Freeze just cannot win a game. Cannot win a game. They're 0-4 in the league. And you look at their schedule and how that shakes out is they couldn't beat Missouri. They're at Arkansas, where you're going to have to score points to win that game. At Vanderbilt is going to be a very difficult game for them to win, and I don't think they're going to beat Alabama either, even though that game's in Auburn. So you're looking at right now, if you beat Kentucky and beat Mercer, that gets you to 5 wins. You're going to have to beat either Vanderbilt or Arkansas to get that 6th win to even get to a bowl game in year 3 for Hugh Freeze. Like, that's pretty stunning to me that's where Auburn is, but that's where they are, and they're just not getting out of neutral at all. So that's kind of a look around the Southeastern Conference after Saturday. A lot of great football to watch. It was a really exciting and compelling day. The Ole Miss-Georgia game was great. Texas A&M Arkansas was a thriller. And then Missouri and Auburn and Texas and Kentucky were overtime games. Mississippi State and Florida were a 2-point game. Like, everything was close, but LSU fans couldn't watch it with a smile on their face because LSU had gotten beaten first game against Vanderbilt. So tough. Let's talk LSU. Tigers are going to be without Tyree Adams. Brian Kelly told you what that means. I vehemently disagree with it. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, they're experts when it comes to the technical aspects of insurance. I can promise you that is boring. It's boring. I did it for 7 years. The technical aspects of insurance are boring. They're also necessary. I've seen them save businesses. When you got a storm that blows through, or you get in a bad car accident, or you're hacked and have a cyber breach because somebody in your office clicked on something they shouldn't have clicked on, these can get really expensive. And if you don't have the right coverages in place, because the only thing you were concerned with on the front end was the premium, you're going to pay for it twice. And that's what the Howard Insurance Group makes sure their clients don't have to do. They understand premium is important. They always consider that. They're an independent broker. They've got contracts with dozens of carriers. They'll make sure you're placed at the right place with the right price, but they'll have the right coverage attached as well. If you don't know what your insurance program says, and your renewal's coming up here in January, contact the Highland Insurance Group and let them audit your program. It could be a game changer. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, chugging through this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, as we mentioned there at the end of hour number 1. Vibes are not great. They're not great, but we're going to chug through it, and we're going to make it happen. And by the end of the week, we'll be fired up for another football weekend. Right now, just a bit of a bummer in these parts. Part of the bummer, LSU's starting left tackle Tyree Adams left the game on Saturday, went to the locker room, came back out on crutches, did not return to the game. And Brian Kelly confirmed some reports from earlier today that Adams is expected to miss some time. He will not play in the game on Saturday against Texas A&M. That we figured. It looked like a high ankle sprain for a big man like that trying to play tackle on a high ankle sprain. It's just very, very difficult to do. So you're going to have to give him some time off. Potentially Texas A&M. Then you've got the bye week. Then Alabama. So maybe he can return for the Alabama game. But he's not going to play on Saturday. And so Brian Kelly was asked, what do you do at left tackle if Tyree Adams can't play? And he immediately said, well, DJ Chester will be out there, and we'll give Kern some reps this week. Look, and then he went further. Let me go into his reasoning. He said you didn't want to put a freshman out at left tackle in the SEC against a team in Texas A&M that's got some really good edge rushers. And he said that putting Josh Thompson at left tackle is just not the move. And I'm not a scout. I'm not a coach. I'm not an evaluator or an executive. I'm just a guy watching the game. But I just don't know that you can feel comfortable playing DJ Chester at left tackle for an entirety football game. I just don't. I mean, everybody saw the sack of Nussmeier on Saturday where the Vanderbilt defender just bull rushed and went right through and got the sack. It's a physical sport. It's a tough sport. Every offensive lineman has bad reps. But DJ Chester is an interior offensive lineman to me. He's a guy who has played center, has played some guard, and asked him to go out there and play tackle. To me, he just looks out of position. And so to me, I would play Josh Thompson at tackle and slide either Chester or Kern in at guard. Thompson played tackle at Northwestern. Apparently, that's not something LSU is willing to do. I would then put Carius Kern out there. He played left tackle in fall camp. He's been here since the spring. He's big and physical, and yeah, he'll probably make some mistakes, but that's what I would do. We talk about Pro Football Focus a lot. Everybody has their thoughts on Pro Football Focus, but I tweeted this out yesterday, and it can't be this wrong. LSU's 2 tackles when Adams went out. So it's DJ Chester at left tackle and then Weston Davis at right tackle. Their pass blocking grades were 37.6 and 23.7. And no matter what you think about Pro Football Focus, those are eye-catching numbers. And it is impossible that those 2 guys would have played a really good football game and had those types of numbers. Like, it is a reflection of what you're getting out of your tackle play right now. And Garrett Nussmeier is getting blasted. He is limping around the entire game. And to me, for LSU not to have a better set of tackles when your left tackle goes down is really disappointing. Really disappointing. Because the level of play is just simply not good enough. You're not giving up a ton of sacks. Nussmeier does a good job of getting rid of the ball. LSU throws a ton of quick hitters and screens. But the offensive line play is clearly not good enough on the ground and certainly not good enough in pass protection as well. And I would put Carius Kern out there at left tackle if it were up to me. My second decision would be to move Josh Thompson from right guard to left tackle. None of these solutions are perfect, but that's what I would do. And it just doesn't appear that LSU is even giving that consideration. So you're going to have to go into this game on Saturday against Texas A&M with DJ Chester and Weston Davis at tackle, and you're going to have to help them a lot with running backs and tight ends to pass protect, because what you saw in the game on Saturday and what you have seen when those 2 guys have been out there has just been difficulty. And every week I put together the highest rated players on Pro Football Focus and the lowest rated players on Football Focus, and you're seeing a lot of LSU's tackles on the lowest grades. You just are. And it's getting your quarterback banged up. It's limiting what you can do offensively. It's putting you behind the sticks. That was a huge spot in the game on Saturday where you're trying to go down and get the game-tying touchdown, and you immediately go behind the chains with a 10-yard sack, and then you get a holding call from the right tackle. I mean, it's back-to-back plays. You don't pass block on the left tackle, then you get a holding call on the right tackle that negates a really good play on a first down. It's just not an acceptable level of play. And we talked all August about this team, and I would say, look, I think they got good running backs. I know they got talented wide receivers. I like the quarterback. Defensively, you got a ton of depth up front and proven commodities there. You've got linebackers that have made a lot of plays in purple and gold. I like what you're doing to restock the shelves at DBU. I think you've got safeties that are really capable. I don't know about the offensive line, and it could derail things. And your offensive line play at this point is just not very good. It's just not. And it's just very, very difficult to try to win games when your offensive line is getting pushed around. And Vanderbilt's better than they have been, and they've spent some money on that defense, and they're old, but they pushed you around a good bit. And you can't score from the 1-yard line. You can't get your short yardage offense together. You're getting penalties. You're giving up sacks, crucial times. It's just not good enough. And it's just difficult to say it any other way. I don't like coming here and directly speaking about the performance of college athletes, but you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, you watch the game, you see the results. It's just hard to go anywhere else but to suggest that they're struggling there. And you're not going to have Tyree Adams, who's your second best offensive lineman, probably in the game on Saturday, and maybe not for Alabama. And that's going to put you behind the 8 ball. And it's just difficult for Garrett Nussmeier to go back there with any sort of confidence to step up and to deliver the football from the pocket when he feels like that there's a good chance there's going to be a breakdown on the perimeter that gets to him. Like, it's difficult mentally to go back there and play football like that. And I think you're seeing some of that, and I think some of that has trickled into what LSU has done. Brian Kelly said today that he likes the direction of the offense, likes some of the things they're doing, and they did do some good things on Saturday, and they did do some good things against South Carolina. But ultimately, you scored in the low 20s in both of those games, and you're one of 2 teams in the country, in the Power 4, that has not cracked 24 points in a Power 5 game. It's you and the Laughingstock in Chapel Hill. It's a reality TV show. That's it. Those are the only 2 teams in the country that haven't scored more than 24 points against a Power 5 team. There are some positive things that are happening, but ultimately the points are what matter. And 24 wasn't enough on Saturday. So we'll continue to monitor things with the injury reports on the offensive line as we move forward. But the news of the day, Brian Kelly did announce that Tyree Adams is going to miss the game and that DJ Chester is going to be the starting left tackle coming up on Saturday against a good Texas A&M defense. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's step aside. Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime, talking all things college football when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. What an amazing facility they've got there. Airline at PQ. I highly recommend you go by and see it. It feels like you're walking into a resort or a spa, not a showroom. It's comfortable. The ambiance is great. The scent smells wonderful. They've got these partitioned areas if you're bringing your car in for service and want to continue to get some work done. Got an incredible snack area set up, as well as this ridiculous coffee machine that'll make any kind of coffee that you could want. And the staff is welcoming. They're going to treat you like a guest, not like a customer. It's a great start to your experience. And what makes it even better is when you get behind the wheel of a Genesis. Most of you driving around right now have not ever been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Make that change when it's time for you to get into the market. When that time comes, go by and see them. Airline at PQ. Get behind the wheel. The GV80 is an incredible SUV. And once you get it, you'll get America's best warranty with it. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline where we find our guy Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. He's with us every Monday talking all things college football. Denton, how's your quarterback?
He's hurt, and that's not fun, So we are in wait-and-see mode for, second time this year about what Jaden's injury status is going to be. Never a good sign when they start showing replays, and you can see him grimacing in pain. So not great.
I saw somebody tweet at you that wasn't the worst thing because Marcus Mariota's played pretty well, and you shut that down pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a pretty idiotic thing to say. And literally, as soon as they tweeted that, he threw a terrible pick six. And I was like, hey, thank you for this. This is just a validation. I didn't want the validation because I knew it was true, but now we have it.
All right, let's talk some college football. Back on Friday night, Miami drops one 24-21. Carson Beck just turning the football over. Cause for real concern on South Beach?
Definitely, because that wasn't even the Van Mara Cristobal game. So that's still to come on the horizon.
Yeah.
That was just Carson Beck kind of jumping the gun a little bit. I think you can blame Cristobal a little bit because why are you throwing late in the game? You're clearly playing for overtime just based on the fact that you weren't pushing the ball down the field earlier. So the fact that they were throwing when they should have just been playing for overtime, you're the better team, get to overtime, just win the game in overtime, that was kind of embarrassing, I thought, from that entire program. Louisville's a good team, so I don't think we should be overlooking that, but that was a game that Miami should have won and just completely dropped the ball.
Let's talk Notre Dame USC. The Irish win 34-24 behind a ridiculous day by Jeremiah Love, who is quite good. Do you think Notre Dame is a legitimate playoff team?
Yeah, now that Jeremiah Love and just that running back duo is playing as well, They are, I think. So this was a big win for them. It was really the only opportunity they're going to have to get a legitimate quality win. So I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to stumble the rest of the way. They're going to be a 2-loss, no conference team that gets in. But I think they're good enough. And they clearly, the AP has been telling us that for weeks. They've been, kind of overranked, I thought, based off of what we've seen from them, especially after the first 2 losses. But I do think they're a playoff team.
Texas Tech drops a road game at Arizona State, 26-22. It's the first loss of the season for the Red Raiders. How do you feel about them right now?
So that's such a unique loss because their quarterback wasn't playing. They played well in the fourth quarter to get that to be a game, but then Arizona State played really well. I think it means terrible things for the Big 12. I don't know how much hope I had in the idea of them getting 2 teams in, but whatever hope there was of that is now completely out the door. They're going to be a one-bid league. I just think Texas Tech, you would ask me this, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago. Can they beat the good teams? No, they can't. They're a fun team because they paid a lot of money, and we are just, we love everyone that's in the Big 12, right? Hey, you're new. Sure, this will be fun. But they're not, I don't think they are talented or I don't think they execute. They're talented. They paid for a lot of talent. I don't think they execute at a high enough level to compete with the big boys. So they could still get in, but I think I look at them and I think way less of them based off of what happened this weekend, even without their starting quarterback.
Tennessee and Alabama tied, wins 37-20. Big pick six before the end of the half there really flipped things in that game in Tuscaloosa. Do you think Alabama's national championship good?
Yeah, I do. I think defensively they're getting better, and this game was a showcase because Tennessee's offense is high-powered. They can put up a lot of points, and you held them to not a lot of points. So I think defensively they're getting better, and then offensively I've been really impressed with them. I've told you this for weeks now. I've been really impressed with them since Ty Simpson kind of got into a groove a little bit. So in a year where I don't feel like there's an abundance of national championship contenders, I do feel like Alabama's one of the few.
Are either Ole Miss or Georgia national championship contenders?
Georgia might be like a really, really on the outside, kind of wallflower middle school dance kind of national championship contender. I think Gunnar Stockton played way better than I thought he was going to. Now, Ole Miss's defense isn't spectacular, but I don't think Georgia punted, and that's really impressive. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. So I do think they're very much on the outside, but I do think they're a national championship contender.
A&M is winning games in weird ways. They won a slugfest with Auburn. They won a shootout with Notre Dame, another shootout with Arkansas on Saturday. What do you make of the Aggies? They'll come to Tiger Stadium on Saturday night.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
They are so confusing because they should have blown Arkansas out, and they didn't. They have a habit, and it's a bad habit. They have a habit of playing to the competition and then just kind of out-talenting them at the very last second. They did it with Auburn and with Arkansas, as you mentioned. I don't know that you can get away with that when you play really good and really talented teams. I kind of like LSU this weekend. They're in a good spot because of what happened this weekend. So going into next weekend, I think I might buy in on the Tigers to potentially pull the upset.
We'll see. That would make me happy. Let's see. There's not a lot of happy people in the Plains of Auburn. They lose to Missouri in double overtime at home. They're now 0-4 in league play and are going to struggle to get bowl eligible here in year 3 under Hugh Freeze. What does that mean?
Hugh Freeze is a big Billy Napier fan right now because the Billy Napier firing and really like the conversation with Mike Norvell, although he's not going to get got. But the conversation of all the big coaches getting fired, and even so, like the Brian Kelly frustrations that's going down by you guys, Hugh Freeze just hiding in the back because this was a guy that was brought in here to beat good teams and to get Auburn back to a level where they're competing in the SEC, and they are not. And this is now, year 3. And you're supposed to be, year 3, if anything, is the year where you're supposed to make a pretty significant jump. And they have not done that yet. So he's just kind of skating by because chaos is happening around him in the conference. And, we saw what happened when Brian Harsin, when it was his time to get out of here. The Auburn money is kind of weird at times. I don't think he's a great coach for Auburn. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's a great coach for Auburn. And eventually they're going to realize that we are paying a lot of money to a guy that is not getting the results that we need.
Clark Lee's getting the results that you need. Can Vanderbilt make the playoff?
Oh, yeah. You know what could end up being hilariously one of the most exciting games of the season? Tennessee, Vanderbilt to end the year with a winner getting into the playoff. Like, how crazy would that be? The world would be on Vanderbilt in that one because everybody loves the story, but they've earned it to this point. They're a really good football team. They do a lot of things really well. They have a quarterback that's a gamer, and it's always nice to have a gamer when you're playing that position, right? So I really like Vanderbilt. We'll see. October, we still got a few more weeks. November, you'll learn a lot about them. But I do think there's a real possibility of Vanderbilt getting in.
I don't know how much you watched of LSU and Vanderbilt on Saturday, but it is remarkable how efficient Vanderbilt looked at everything they were trying to do. None of it's flashy, but it just always happened. They just looked like they were in position and in control the entire game, which is stunning to me to watch an LSU team with that much talent just get big boyed. It was wild.
To borrow a phrase that a particular morning show host on your station uses, Vanderbilt is too gritty to be pretty.
Yep.
So they're not flashy in any way, shape, or form. But you're right. The things that they want to do, they do it at a really, really high level, and they basically say, "Hey, we dare you to stop it." And more often than not, at least this year, teams have not been able to stop it.
Let's talk about LSU then. What do you think?
Oh, God. What do you think? I mean, have you guys had like a therapy session today?
The vibes
I
are
feel
terrible. It's awful down here. It's bad. It's toxic. If they could have found a way to beat Vanderbilt, you would have set up just an unbelievable Saturday night in Death Valley. Now everyone's just ticked. Like it's just a mad fan base.
I can't fathom going into this season with the expectations, because I thought Nussmeier was going to have a really strong season this year, and then just not being able to protect him. I feel like it's almost unfair to him. You can't protect the quarterback, and if you're losing in the trenches, particularly in this league, but really any league, if you're losing in the trenches, you're going to lose a lot of games. And I think that's where they're falling short massively this year. I don't love the wide receivers. I'd like to see a little bit more from them. It is kind of like weird also that C.J. Daniels is now having, somewhat successful year in Miami, so I know that doesn't feel good. But the inability to keep Garrett Nussmeier upright and have him not running for his life is almost impossible to overcome in a league as deep as the SEC.
He just limps around out there for 4 quarters, just getting hit, banged up, and grimacing and wincing, and it's just it's a tough scene back there, quarterback for LSU right now. So let's talk Florida. It was a weird week in Gainesville. They win the game and then fire the coach. What do you make of Billy Napier's run there, and what do you think is next?
I think they're going to go for Lane Kiffin. I don't think they're going to land Lane Kiffin. I'm not stunned that they fired him. I'm a little old school in that I feel like it's weird that you fire a guy after a win. I get it. You want to get your name out there, but everyone kind of knew you were going to be available at this point. Billy Napier, I liked him a lot when he was in Louisiana. So I don't know what it was in particular that just did not align with Florida, but I thought that was a home run hire when they made the hire. And to see it play out the way that it has been really, really unfortunate and really, really head-scratching. I know he didn't want to give up play calling, but I got to be honest, I don't really blame him. If you knew you were a sitting duck, lame duck head coach anyway, I would go out on my own sword. I'm not going to give play calling to somebody else and get fired at the hands of somebody else. And there was really no incentive for him to do that anyway, because that contract that they set him up with, he doesn't have that James Franklin bit where he has to go search for another job. He could literally just chill for a couple of years, and he's going to get paid all of that salary that they're going to end up owing him. So that's really confusing. I'm curious to see what happens next, because I'm curious to see, and I think we'll learn a lot about this, Hunt. How does everybody else see Florida as a program? I've heard good things about them in the last year and a half or so, at least in the media space. But what do coaches feel about that program? Because you'll really get a good understanding of that versus who is, or when you understand who is going to be in the works for that job. Because I don't think they're going to get Lane Kiffin. I think that's one of the reasons why old Jimmy Sexton was in there standing in the background of College Game Day. And
then James Franklin, what's next for him, you think?
Please, no more game day appearances. I
didn't watch that. I heard bad things.
It was like, the thing about him that's so frustrating is that he's kind of a likable dude, but the victim narrative about how you couldn't win a national championship when you had all the talent in the world. I mean, literally 3 months ago, this was their year because they're the most talented team that he's ever had, and yada, yada, yada. And then to sit up there and play victim, it was a disgrace. I don't think he goes to Florida. I think that should be, if anyone, I don't think anyone at Florida is clamoring for that, but if anyone is, they need to be thrown out of the room, because that's not going to work. I don't think that's a good fit for him. Maybe he ends up at like an Arkansas or like maybe Virginia Tech, something like that. He needs to rebuild his image a little bit and showcase that he can coach at a very, very high level, because the one thing with him at Penn State is he could never do it at a high level. And if you can't beat top 10 teams when you're only playing 2 of them a year, potentially 3 of them a year? What are you going to do when you're playing 6 of them a year in the SEC? So I don't know that he fits in the SEC.
We'll see. Certainly had some success at Vanderbilt before running off to Penn State. So that's interesting thing to look at as the coaching carousel starts to spin pretty wildly here and will for the next 2 months. So, Dan, we appreciate some time, man. We'll talk next week.
I appreciate it as always.
Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime with us talking national college football storylines on Monday. When we come back, we're a little bit early here, so we'll come back. I'll tell you a little bit about what I saw at Outback Stadium yesterday for some scrimmage, and we'll do Take It or Leave It. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, if you are concerned about the safety of an aging loved one because the bathroom could be a hazardous spot, David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets are happy to help you mitigate that risk. They can come in, put some non-slip floors in. They can put guardrails in slippery places. They can do a walk-in shower and tub. They can do a shower with benches in it. Those are all measures to mitigate against risk of slip and falls and hazardous situations in the bathroom. David and his team are happy to help you with that. They're happy to have that conversation with you. That's free. The consultation is free. Just chat, say, hey, well, this is what I like to do, and David will tell you what that looks like. And if you're looking for financing options, they have got them. 0% for up to 18 months if you qualify. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online, including great pictures of their great work and that free consultation at onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Wrapping things up here, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We'll start to move forward to LSU and Texas A&M tomorrow on the show. We'll have Colin Jeter step in. They got a Football Friday coming up at Lod Cook that we're looking forward to on Friday afternoon. We'll also talk to Glenn West, Sharif Ishak, our usual Tuesday suspects. So I'm looking forward to that show tomorrow and put this LSU Vanderbilt kind of in the rearview mirror and move forward to Texas A&M. I wanted to briefly talk about LSU baseball here before we play a little Take It or Leave It. I went out to the box yesterday. Just gorgeous weather. Great weather out at the box yesterday, and Tigers were scrimmaging. Got a chance to see William Schmidt on the mound for 2 innings, and I liked a lot of what I saw from William yesterday. Did not pitch in games over the summer. Did some work individually as opposed to going out with a team in summer ball. And fastball was like you remember it. 95, 97 for William Schmidt. Spun a couple of really good breaking balls through some that weren't so good. And he gave up some hard contact. Chris Stanfield hit a really hard double. And Mason Braun, the freshman from South Bend, Indiana, who's a good hitter, lefty. But I kind of thought as a line drive hitter, and he is, but wasn't on this day. He hit one over the bleachers in right field. Flew the bleachers next to the Intimidators. That was an impressive blast. But Schmidt threw a lot of strike ones, which I loved. He did not walk anybody, which I loved. That was his biggest issue in SEC games. He was walking way too many people. And if he can clean that up, his stuff is good enough in the strike zone to get a lot of swings and misses. So I liked what I saw a little bit there from William Schmidt. Reagan Ricken is a big right-handed freshman. Got a chance to see he was up to 97 miles an hour yesterday. He was big, physical, 6'5" kid that was a high school quarterback. And is a really good athlete. Made a great play on a bunt, but he had some pop on that fastball yesterday for sure. I saw 3 home runs. I mentioned Mason Braun's. Zach York, the transfer first baseman from Grand Canyon, hit a home run. He's listed at 295 pounds, and he looks it. But he got into one yesterday for a home run. He hit 32 of those at Grand Canyon. I also saw Daniel Harden from Catholic High School, junior college prospect that transferred in. He also hit a home run from the left side of the plate, so that was good to see from those 3 guys. As far as infield alignment, this is something I'm really paying attention to. You feel like, obviously, Milam's your shortstop, and the other 3 infield positions are up for grabs. Trent Caraway is playing third base a lot. He's the Oregon State transfer. I think that's an indication that he's probably the leader there. You're seeing Braden Simpson, the High Point transfer, who is a bat-first guy. He's playing a lot of first base, which was interesting to me. So that's a spot that you could see him playing. And then Seth Dardar, who's from the North Shore, went to the Ivy League, then went to Kansas State, hit a home run off Kate Anderson last year in the game against Kansas State that they played in Round Rock. No, not in Round Rock, next to Dallas. I was supposed to go, and I didn't because we were having Keller, and I can't think of the name of the town. It'll come to me here short. Frisco. There it is. Hit a home run off of Kate Anderson in Frisco. He's playing some second base right now. So that's where those three guys are playing the majority of the time after a week of fall ball. Curious to see where those guys shake out. But Caraway at third, Dardar at second, and Simpson at first right now for LSU. Also good to see Cade Beatty hit the ball very hard twice. That was great to see. He's got to up his offensive game and his defensive game to fill in for Luis Hernandez back behind the plate. I liked what I saw from Aaron Beatty last year at catcher. Hopefully he kind of takes a step forward this year. Saw some good defense, great diving play from Derek Curiel in center field. Chris Stanfield made a nice play going backwards in left field as well. So some good stuff from out at the box yesterday. Just a little bit of a nugget there at the end of the show. Wanted to toss your way. So now let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
I sat on the front porch yesterday in the rocking chair and just took down a nice cold Flight by Yingling. The sun was setting. It was a nice evening, and I very much enjoyed it. If you would like to do something similar to that on your front porch, make it a Flight by Yingling for your next beer. It is awesome, awesome stuff. It's light, 95 calories, all the flavor you're looking for in a beer as well. From America's oldest brewery, it's Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
Okay, hon, let's kick this bad boy off. So, everybody's favorite coach, Dennis Allen, received the only game ball from the Saints versus Bears game.
Yep.
We already know his speech. You spoke about it. Basically, tap dance on the Saints' grave.
He did.
The question is Jordan a fraud now? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it.
Thank you.
You're not
Leave it
fraud,
alone.
Jordan, but Dennis Allen is in your brain.
Yeah.
He's got you cooked.
Yeah.
He dominated your team yesterday.
Dominated.
His leadership has left the Saints where they are currently. He's really done a number on you. There's no doubt.
It's like I close my eyes and I just see him. I'm just losing my mind at this point. So no, thank you. I'm not fraudulent to say the least.
No,
so
just own.
I'm owned. I'm buried. So next one is, will Hugh Freeze be the next head coach fired? Take it or leave it.
I will leave it. I'm gonna
Leave it
go
alone.
Mark Stoops on that.
Oh, really?
I still
Okay.
think he's.
Okay.
I thought it would be this weekend. I don't know what Kentucky has next, but yeah, I think Stoops. That relationship has been toxic since he took the A&M job and then came back. I think Freeze has got a chance to save his job late in the season.
If he beat Bama, I can see.
They've certainly got to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would help for sure. But I think Stoops is next.
Where's Norvell filling any?
He's on the. I mean, you're going to have Penn State's open, Florida's open,
Yeah.
Arkansas's open, and you're going to have Florida State open as well. And if Auburn comes open, then that's a big time cycle.
Okay. So Texas Tech has banned throwing tortillas at home games. That's the little tradition they have. So
It is.
Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it.
I'll take it.
Not because I have a huge problem with them throwing tortillas. I don't know that it's going to cause a lot of issues, although they're having some.
Yeah.
I just love tortillas, and I think you should eat them and not throw them on the football field. I have a long-standing take. It is, and it's reinforced every time I eat a meal. If you told me I had to eat every meal the rest of my life on a tortilla, I would be okay with it. I could do it.
I can get jiggy with that. Yes.
I love tortillas. I love breakfast tacos.
Yes.
I love burritos.
Yes.
I love tortillas.
When I say Mexican food, I'm just a connoisseur regardless.
Yeah.
I can pretty much eat Mexican food every day of the week. So
it's the best.
we are hand to hand with that one.
So yeah, I mean, I would rather just. I mean, there have been times, I'm not proud of this. There are times where I put a tortilla in the microwave, just sprinkled some cheese on it, get sitting in there for like 12 seconds, and then just roll it up.
That's a real struggle meal. I ain't been, I got to throw.
I wouldn't consider it a meal. It's just like, I'm kind of hungry. I have a tortilla. Let's go.
I got to throw a little meat. I got to have something
But
just
if I don't have any, I just roll it up in cheese roll up.
You're down bad if you got nothing. I just say, you don't got nothing to throw in the tortilla. You just down bad.
I love tortillas.
A little chicken or something on there.
Quesadillas.
Yes,
Love it.
quesadillas.
I mean, I could eat every meal on it.
Nah, we're hand to hand. That's all for Take It or Leave It.
All right, presented by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of black beer. If you missed any of today's show, not very happy. Talked about LSU for the first 30 minutes of the show. Talked about the Saints. got injuries. The Saints have 2 guys out for the year. LSU's without their left tackle. Everybody's losing games. It's not great, but if you want to go relive all that, you have the option because we got Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcasts, on YouTube, and full shows at the Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your sound. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us here on this Monday. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. I'm sure he'll be in a great mood as well. Probably not. But we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, talking to LSU A&M on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.